next? Yeah, let's start on the laser cannons. So the first thing I notice is the ship is wide in the back, comes closer to a point in the front. The laser cannons are off axis, right? So the axis of the ship is in line with our global axis. These guys are not. So remember when we made this 01 mirror object? That's going to come in very, very, very handy again. Because we're going to need to scale this. We're going to need to have him rotated, and we're going to want this one rotated back towards it. And like I showed you at the beginning, we don't want to rotate them together, right? If we used, you get in all crazy kinds of things where if you're using itself as, if you're using the object itself to mirror itself, I'd go to rotate this. This laser cannon would be parallel to it, not be pointing back, towards center, which is what we want. And then you certainly fall into a trap where you're trying to scale the thing along this axis, along the laser cannon's axis, its own axis. You're trying to scale it along its own axis, and it doesn't want to. It wants to scale globally, along the global Y, or along the global X, or along the global Z. Not good. So remember to use the mirror object empty, and then also only rotate the object in object mode itself, because then you're not going to screw up your local orientations. If you select everything, if you're in edit mode, you select all the vertices, you move it. I've done that so many times, and I could not understand what was happening. I shot myself in the foot. No good. So make sure you're in object mode when you're rotating anything. And then when you tab back into edit mode, everything will be nice and safe and in line for you. Shift A, new mesh. We want a cylinder. Radius, we need it to be fairly small. Rotate it on the x-axis 90 degrees. We need that to be somewhat smaller. That's fine right there. Let us just go ahead and mirror it right off the bat. Mirror, and right there waiting for us at the top of the list. Alright, there we go. It's starting to look like something. Shift to not increment, but constrain it to, I guess, fine motion. Yeah, fine motion. Alright, let's go to local. Alright, there we go. So up here in transformation orientation, we've chosen local, and now I can just move it along its own little handy Z-axis. I can scale along its Z-axis. Everything is working out for us without issue. And it's mirroring perfectly. Can't tell you the headaches I went through to figure that out. We don't have data or information or schematics on what the laser cannon looks like inside of this large laser cannon cooler. I was making a mistake earlier, and I see what the mistake is now, and I actually fixed it. I thought this was rotated, right? So I thought it was the laser cannon was rotated, but I don't think that it is. I think it's in line with the ship here, but somewhere inside this laser cooler, it's offset. This cannon in front of the cooler is on one axis, and behind the cooler, it's up on a separate axis. Instead of trying to rotate the thing into position, we'll just offset that and move that guy up. Perfect, done. Let's just start extruding. Let's start creating the different levels on this laser cannon, and we're going to do that with a bunch of loop cuts. So we'll just get a few set into place first. There's one. Right, so this is going to be wider, this is slimmer, this again is wider. Right, so this is wide, this is slimmer, this is wider, this and this are wider yet. This is wider yet, so you know, there's so much detail in here that it could be its own little model. At this point in the process, you just kind of want to flesh it out. And I've heard from many others as well, you really don't want to get too detailed at focus in on any one part of the project at any time. Kind of like a carving, you're going to go through and kind of block out everything at first. Bit by bit, you'll end up detailing kind of the whole thing at one level, then going back and detailing the whole thing at a finer level, and until you get as much detail as you need or want. You go down the rabbit hole all the way to nuts and bolts, but you certainly don't have to. 3, to make sure we're selecting faces. All clicking to select, I guess, the face loop. Scale everything, and then you get the Z scaling along the gun axis as well, the cannon axis. We don't need that. So scale, S for scale, Shift Z, and that takes the Z out of the equation. Scale, Shift Z, and now you're scaling the whole thing, but only on the X and the Y axis. So it remains a tube, but it doesn't get longer, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Scale up, kind of matching it. Okay, that's fine. Alt select, selecting that face loop. Scale, Shift Z, something like that. This one's going to be bigger yet. Alt click, S for scale, Shift Z. Make it about that big, I guess. I'm just eyeballing it. It's whatever. I'm not going to make these laser cannons detailed. I've seen some other models where they were, but I don't know that I care enough. I made too many loop cuts at first. This one and that one. Scale, Shift Z, boop. Something like that anyway. Did I do that right? Scale, Shift Z. Oh boy, okay. There we are. Let's add a bevel modifier. And perfect. We want that. We want these, the flanges where the laser cannon steps up in size or steps down in size. We want those to have bevels, but you can see we don't want to show off that it's a column made out of faces. Let's see, limit method. So we're going to limit by the angle. We want the severe angles to have bevels and the shallow angles to not have any bevels. We want it to look like it's a nice, like, perfectly rounded cylinder. Why isn't that working for us? We want it to work for us. Add some edge loops where we need them. That's something I should have thought of. Okay, you want more than one segment on your bevel. And let's see, let's go to, that's at 0.1, 0.05. Suppose I didn't need to put all those edge loops in. That was a bunch of that to say this. Just used some edge loops and made sure I could scale along the local axis and not the global axis. You see how that's off? If I tried scaling along there, it would do some crazy things. It'd take it off just slightly off of axis, and that's not what we want. So local, and see if I rotate this. I can rotate it like that. I can rotate it on the X. And we're not in trouble because we're mirroring with this empty there. Okay, I think we have to move on to the little containers or the coolers, whatever you have, whatever you want to call them for the laser cannons. These big blocky guys right there. Let's see, yeah, these guys right here. We'll move on to those and see where we get.